It's literally a billion-dollar company stealing land from smaller people. Ansley Brown said that on the same patch of Coweta County grass where she learned to ride a bike. Her mother bought this house in 2003. In a few months, it's gone. Not to a hurricane, not to a bank, to a power line. Georgia Power wants more than 330 properties across 2 counties south of Atlanta, up to 30 homes bulldozed completely, steel towers going up where kitchens and bedrooms used to be, carrying electricity towards server farms these families have never seen and aren't even allowed to know the names of. One question before anything else: should a family lose the only home they've ever had so an AI company, somewhere, can keep its servers cool? The warehouse that never sleeps. None of this makes sense until you understand what's actually eating all this electricity. It's not a sleek glass building with a few laptops inside. It's a warehouse, sometimes the size of several football fields, packed floor to ceiling with server racks running every second of every day. No lunch breaks, no weekends, no lights off. Every one of those machines throws off heat, so there's a second system, just as massive, running in parallel, pulling in outside air or chilled water non-stop just to keep the building from melting down. A single large AI data center pulls as much electricity as a small city, tens of thousands of homes and businesses combined, running at once. And that's one data center. Here's how fast this has grown. In 2025, data centers accounted for roughly half of all new electricity demand growth in the entire United States. Half. Not half of one sector, half of the country's entire increase in power use in a single year. And it's accelerating. Goldman Sachs projects America's data center power demand will more than double in just 2 years, 2025 to 2027. The fastest growing piece of that isn't storage, isn't cloud backups. It's the specialized chips training and running AI models right now, the same ones writing your emails and generating your images. And that piece is set to keep climbing hard through 2027 and beyond. None of this is happening in a vacuum. It's happening in Georgia. Georgia Power says its grid, built for a slower era, simply can't carry this kind of load, which is exactly why survey stakes started showing up on lawns in Coweta and Fayette counties this year, followed by easement offers, followed in some cases by eminent domain paperwork. The line called Project Wansley. Meet the company behind all of it. Georgia Power, the largest electric utility in the state, a subsidiary of Southern Company, 2.8 million customers strong. It just got approval for one of the biggest grid build-outs in its history. Roughly 10,000 megawatts of new generation over the next 5 years. More than 1,000 miles of new transmission line over the next 10 years. Most of that is abstract, spread across the whole state. But one project stops being abstract the second you live south of Atlanta. Engineers call it Project Wansley. Officially, it's the Ashley Park to Wansley 500 kilovolt line. 35 miles of new high-voltage power cutting through Coweta and Fayette counties, with pieces crossing into Fulton and Heard, too. Built to serve at least 4 AI data centers. Which ones? Georgia Power won't say. Corporate customers, they call it. Security reasons, they say. The families losing their backyards don't get to know whose servers they're clearing the way for. Now, a 500 kilovolt line isn't a row of wooden poles along your street. Think steel lattice towers, close to 200 feet tall, wider than most houses are long, spaced across a cleared corridor that can run 175 feet wide, sometimes more. You can't bend that around a subdivision. It has to run straight, stay clear of every tree and rooftop, and stay wide enough to maintain for the next 50 years. Which means if your house happens to sit inside that 35-mile path, there is no version of this plan where your yard survives. And here's the number that turns this from an infrastructure story into a fairness fight. By Georgia Power's own accounting, 70 to 80% of the power on this new line goes to data centers. 20 to 30% is left over for the actual residents and businesses of Coweta and Fayette counties, the people whose land is being taken to build it in the first place. Before we meet the families losing their homes over this, if you're new here, this channel covers the hidden economic and infrastructure stories quietly reshaping American towns. Hit subscribe before we keep going. Now let's meet the people this line runs straight through. The Brown family's fight. Wansley Brown was 5 years old when her mother, Angela Hall, moved them into a house in rural Coweta County, bought through a federal loan program built for single mothers trying to put down roots. Hall wanted the land to become, in her daughter's words, true generational wealth.
True generational wealth was the idea.
Somewhere the family could always come back to. Georgia Power's new line runs straight through it. For more than a year, Brown says her family negotiated. The number on the table never sat right. Somewhere between $70,000 and $100,000 below what she believed the home was worth, built on appraisals that pulled comparable sales from far outside the local market. Then, this spring, a letter showed up. Not from Georgia Power, from its attorneys. If the family didn't settle, it said, the company would take them to court. You can't tear down 35 miles of rural Georgia and it not hurt something or somebody, Brown said. And to say that you're doing it in the name of data centers is a slap in the face to us, our community, our animals. Her mother eventually agreed to sell. Georgia Power says it negotiated in good faith for more than 4 months and ultimately met the family's asking price, an offer the company puts at $205,000 above the appraisal Hall herself had submitted. Brown posted a video about the fight. It's since pulled more than 6 million views. A private negotiation, suddenly a very public argument about who these projects are really for. What her mother wants now isn't more money. My mom wants an apology, Brown said. For an entire year, they have bullied her, and there is no sorry. Georgia Power hasn't given her one. The Van Epps family, 87 feet from the bedroom. The Browns weren't the only ones with a stranger sitting at their kitchen table. A few miles away, Cynthia Van Epps was fighting a battle measured in feet, not acres. Van Epps has lived in her 5-bedroom home in Coweta County for 17 years. She and her husband bought it as a foreclosure and spent nearly 2 decades fixing it up, room by room, including the backyard pool where hummingbirds now dart past small motorized waterfalls on quiet mornings. Last fall, a land agent sat down at that kitchen table and told her plainly, all of it had to go. He brought a right of entry form and a check for $5,000 so Georgia Power could run soil samples on land it didn't even own yet. Van Epps and her husband said no. Months of back and forth followed. Then in late March, Georgia Power shifted. Instead of the whole property, it would take a permanent easement covering more than half of it. Offer $125,000. Here's what that actually means. The new line would run 87 feet from their house, 12 feet of buffer between the home and the easement line. Some studies on lines this size recommend a safe distance of 300 feet. The pool goes, the backyard goes, and Van Epps calculates she'll still pay roughly $300,000 in property taxes over the next 30 years on land she can't build on, can't sell, can't really use at all, while Georgia Power runs electricity through it for decades of profit. Can you imagine that? She said. You have absolutely no backyard when you bought it for this purpose, and there's nothing you can do about it? And to make things worse, you're paying property taxes for the very power lines they're making billions off of? Van Epps has decided to hold out and let a court, rather than a negotiator, settle her final price. This house wasn't for sale, she said. $57,000 for half a backyard. Not every fight here ends with a family losing the whole property. Some end with a family keeping the house and losing everything that made it feel like theirs. That's what happened to Rachel Mask. Mask and her husband left their apartment in Buckhead 4 years ago, looking for space to garden, keep chickens, and raise their 2 daughters somewhere quiet. They found 2 acres in unincorporated Fayette County, 25 miles southwest of Atlanta, wooded enough that Mask finally felt the seclusion she'd been craving. Last fall, a letter arrived, Georgia Power, inviting them to a community meeting about transmission lines that might cross their land. By March, might turned into a plan, an easement across roughly a third of their property, essentially their entire backyard. The number that followed, $57,000 for the use of half their backyard. Real money, Mask says, but nowhere close to covering what the line will do to a home that was supposed to be defined by its forest, not by steel towers standing where the trees used to be. There's really no amount of money that could erase all this and make it go back the way it was, said Doug Fergus, a neighbor fighting the same battle. And that's really the point that keeps surfacing across every one of these negotiations. It was never about the number on the offer sheet. It's about the fact that there was never supposed to be an offer sheet at all. Is this even legal? Here's the part that makes people angriest once they understand it. This is completely legal, not a loophole. A very old rule stretched to cover something nobody who wrote it ever imagined. The Fifth Amendment lets the government, or anyone the government authorizes, take your property for public use, as long as you're paid for it. For most of American history, that meant roads, schools, courthouses, power lines that actually served everybody. In Georgia, state law hands that same condemnation power straight to regulated utilities like Georgia Power. On paper, they're treated as an extension of the public good. Then in 2005, the Supreme Court heard a case called Kelo versus City of New London. A Connecticut city wanted to clear out a working-class neighborhood and hand the land to private developers. Their argument: new jobs and tax revenue count as public use, even when private companies pocket the benefit. In a 5-4 decision, the court agreed. Economic development is public use, the majority ruled, even when the beneficiary has a corporate logo on the door. The backlash was instant. Within a few years, 45 states passed laws trying to claw that power back. Georgia never carved out that exception, which is how we land on the tension sitting at the center of this whole story. Georgia Power itself says 70 to 80% of this new line's power goes to private AI data centers, and it's still, legally, a public use project, because 20 to 30% of it reaches an actual homeowner. To be fair, Georgia Power's side deserves airtime too. The company says eminent domain gets used in less than 1% of its land deals, a true last resort after negotiation fails. Its opening offers, the company says, start at 125% of appraised value, well above what state law even requires. And it points to a deal struck with state regulators. Because data centers and other big commercial customers are now covering more of the grid's costs, the typical residential customer is projected to save about $102 a year starting in 2029. Whether that's a fair trade for a family watching bulldozers roll toward their pool depends entirely on which side of the fence you're standing on. And as it turns out, Georgia isn't the only state asking that question. This is happening everywhere. Coweta and Fayette counties aren't a Georgia problem. They're the most visible flashpoint in a fight breaking out in state after state, everywhere AI infrastructure and power lines are colliding with ordinary backyards. Pennsylvania, Luzerne County. PPL Electric Utilities has filed eminent domain against 30 property owners to expand a corridor for its Sugarloaf transmission project, another 500 kilovolt line, powers pushing 200 feet, built for the exact same reason. A few counties over, a different utility is chasing eminent domain rights for a 107-mile line running through Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Maryland, built for one purpose: feeding data centers in Northern Virginia, now the single largest concentration of data centers on the planet. In Ashburn, Virginia, a homeowner is watching a 185-foot power pole get planned for her own yard, courtesy of Dominion Energy. Maryland has its own version of this fight. So does Indiana, where a new transmission line is going up specifically to feed a Google data center. The scale behind all of this is hard to grasp, so here are the real numbers. Data centers currently eat somewhere around 4 to 5% of all electricity used in the United States. Sounds small, until you look at where it's headed. Multiple government-backed and utility research groups now project that number could double or more by the end of the decade, somewhere between 2028 and 2030. Not because more people are flipping on more light switches, because AI training and inference are scaling faster than nearly any technology in modern history, and every bit of that scaling runs on real electricity moving through real wires, held up by real towers, standing on somebody's real land. That's the part of the AI boom most people never see. It lives in a chatbot on your phone, in a model that writes your emails and generates your images, and it feels like it comes from nowhere. But behind every one of those interactions sits a warehouse full of humming machines. Behind that warehouse, a power line. And behind that power line, more often than the industry likes to admit, a family standing in their own yard watching survey stakes go into the ground. The bill nobody voted on. Nobody in Coweta County voted on this. No ballot ever asked whether a family's backyard should become a utility corridor for an industry most of them will never even use. That decision got made in a boardroom, then delivered to the kitchen table by a land agent with an offer sheet and a deadline. Somewhere behind a brand new steel tower going up right now sits a house nobody lives in anymore. That's the real cost of keeping the lights on inside a server farm. If stories like this, the hidden infrastructure and economics quietly reshaping American communities, are why you're here, subscribe. There's a lot more ground left to cover.